Howdy folks, how you doing? It's Bill Palmer here again. Another lesson here for learnacousticguitar.com. What I'm going to talk about today is arpeggios. Now with arpeggios, you may have heard that term before, and arpeggio is simply the notes of a chord that you play one at a time rather than play them all at the same time. Depending on who you're talking to and what instrument they play, it can mean a range of different things to different people. If you talk to someone who plays primarily electric guitar, they will think of arpeggios as a different type of thing to what you might think of as an acoustic guitarist. With the acoustic guitar, what you tend to find is that arpeggios are commonly played by holding a chord shape, and then we pick out a little pattern that sort of goes with that chord shape. So for instance, okay, and what I'm playing there with my pick is I'm going G string or 6, that was string 4, string 3, string 4, or D, G, D, so, and then I go to the B string, G string, D string, G string. So that's commonly what is referred to as an arpeggio, and that's how I'll be applying it today with the acoustic guitar, and I'll just run you through some different ways and some different methods in which you can, I guess, apply this. That's a very basic one. I'll just play that again slowly. I'm playing that with an 8th note rhythm, so 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. For every beat of the bar I'm playing 2 notes, so I'll play it again real slow. Okay, I'll just call out the string numbers, so 6, 4, 3, 4, 2, 3, 4, 3. Put it all together. Now you may notice over here on my left hand, I'm actually not playing string 5, I'm not playing string 1, so I actually don't really need those fingers down. Okay, so I can just place in the fingers that I need to have down, not necessarily all the fingers that I would normally have down, okay? And that can help me with my chord changes too. What I might do, just to sort of illustrate that again, is I'll play that same thing just with that finger there, okay? Okay, it hasn't changed the sound at all. Anyway, what you typically do with arpeggios, just to sort of backtrack a bit, on the acoustic guitar is that we tend to start with what's called the root note. So we often place the root note as the first note. It just kind of gives the chord some definition as far as the actual sound that you're after. Starting on a different note does change the sound slightly, and depending on the style of music, it might work kind of really well, or it might not work at all. So anyway, that's what I've done now. So I've started with the root note, which is G, and it's the lowest version of that note, okay? And then I've just played through the little sequence there. When it comes to changing chords, what we want to do is, kind of generally speaking, we keep the same basic pattern, although we might change perhaps the first note to then be the root note of the next chord. So I'll start it on a G chord, and if I drop down my string to a C, that's a C there, and I'll add this finger here, and I'll keep my pattern going. So my pattern will now be basically the same pattern exactly, except I've just added in the A string, and this finger is now on fret 2 of the D string, because it's based off a C chord. Okay, I'm with my guitar hand so you can see that, but I'm just playing it like that. Okay, so the pattern now is going to go like this. Now what I'm striving to do over here with my right hand, or if you play left-handed, your left hand, is get a nice clean sound. Okay, that's just without any I'm just kind of muting out the strings over here. So like you actually want it to sound nice and clean. You'll obviously have to start slow to start with, and you want to make sure that you're hitting the string nice and cleanly. Okay, so you're not actually hitting 2 strings or hitting 3 or missing the string entirely. So that's a very basic, I guess, arpeggio, and look, you can apply that to a whole bunch of different chords. That was just 2 open chords. That was G to C, actually C major 7. I could do the same thing with, say, let's try it on an E chord. the same pattern played again. I just went from E to A, E to A. I went C sharp minor 7, which is basically 4, 6, 6, and then it's the open B string. Back to a B chord, B5, then I went to an A, sus2 to an A minor. And I just kept the same pattern going. And that's basically what you want to sort of work on if you're playing, if you want to sort of, I guess, get to that that point with your like acoustic playing. If you want to be able to play those kinds of things, you just have to sort of start slowly. That pattern was slightly different, but yeah, there I was. That was the like original pattern. Practice getting those basic patterns down, because that's you'll find that that's a very kind of fundamental thing that comes up again and again and again in different songs that use the acoustic guitar as its main instrument. For instance, Green Day's "Time of Your Life." That's another very common sort of pattern there. That's a G chord, C add 9 in a D, with a little I guess it's an arpeggiated pattern. REM, Like Everybody Hurts. Just a D chord to a G chord. That one's in 6/8 too, so that one's a little bit different. We count at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. But basically, with an arpeggio on the acoustic guitar, basically what it comes down to is that you're playing a specific pattern with your right hand, and generally you try and keep that pattern very consistent from chord to chord. Okay, the only exception being, for instance, with this song here. My pattern goes 4, 3, 2, 1, 2, 3, and I just keep it going. And then when I change to my G chord, it now becomes 6, 4, 3, 1, 2, 3. Okay, so I've still got the 1, 2, 3. I've just changed the first kind of the order of the first 3 notes, I guess you could say. So yeah, so that's basically a very short sort of overview of what happens with arpeggios and how they're like applied. So you can really take any chord, shape or structure, and then come up with your own little, way of sort of playing it through. For instance, if I had an F sharp minor 7 chord, like this, I might decide to go, let's just make one up, say that I might go 5, 3, 4, 2. Actually sounds quite nice. So 5, 3, 4, 2. I just played it through twice, and I went to an A sus2 chord. Okay, and all those different things like varying your dynamics, which is how hard or soft that you pick, and also you have to make sure that when you change chord, it's nice and clean. Okay. Okay, if you're kind of hesitating when you're changing, that will obviously make it harder to change. But look, there's some other things that you can do with playing arpeggios. What we can do is that we can do strums with arpeggios. Okay, so you actually can strum before or after you actually play the little arpeggio. Let's just go back to our F sharp minor chord, and why don't we add in a strum as well as a arpeggio. So what I was playing there was, as far as the timing goes, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. So what if I do? Okay, so I try to change there halfway through it, but I'm picking that note first, 1, and then strumming 2, and then going 3 and 4 and then playing that again. And same thing with that chord change. Okay, so now it's become slightly different, and it's it's changed the sound up a bit. What I can also do is that I can make what's called a walking bass pattern with my arpeggio. If I go back to my G chord, this is kind of easier with a G chord. Say that I go with my pattern, I'll just make up another arpeggio pattern here. So that I go G. I'm going 6, 3, 4, 2. And before I change to a C chord, sorry, that one there, I'm actually going to walk up. So when I say walk up, what I sort of mean by that, what is meant by the term is that I'll be walking up the notes of the scale. Okay, so it'll sound something like this. Okay, so I've basically just done the same thing. G. So just play it twice. That was 6, 3, 4, 2. Okay, on the third time round, I now play the A string. Then I play fret 2 on the A string. What I'm basically doing there is going an A to a B note, and that is going to land me then on a C chord for the next one. So what I'm playing there is 5, 3, 4, 2. So. Okay, and there are some other things that I can do as well. I can incorporate hammer-ons and pull-offs into my arpeggio as well, which can add a bit more sort of, I guess, kind of interest and a lot of variety to it. So a hammer-on is basically where you play a string, and then your finger comes onto the string. So that's a hammer on fret 2 on the D string. So I'm playing string 4 or the D string. I pick it, and then my finger sounds the note by actually hammering down on to the note. And also a pull-off is basically just the opposite. That I pick the note, finger pulls off. Okay, you do have to kind of drag your finger down a little bit to get it to sound a bit. So I can also add in, I guess, kind of hammer-ons and pull-offs into my little arpeggio pattern to again add some more interest to it. So if I again, I'll just make something up on the spot because I find that's kind of a cool thing to do. We'll use our G chord. Sorry, try that again. So I'm doing a little, I'll just break down what I'm doing there. So that's the same as before. That's 6, 3, 4, 2. In that little bit there, so the hammer-on's on fret 2 of the A string, open A string to fret 2. After that we've got 4, 3, and then back to 4 and then 2, so okay, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and so my timing is 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, and this will be in the notes there for you to check out. So okay, and then the C chord is basically the same things that I'm saying on string 5, and I just go up to the higher string instead of keeping it, you know, up to the B string. So. Yeah, so that's just an example of using a kind of hammer-on there. But the basic idea is that I'm still keeping that pattern very consistent from one chord to the next. Okay, so yeah, so just to recap, an arpeggio, as far as the acoustic guitar is concerned, pretty much is going to consist of you holding a chord shape and then picking through a set pattern with your right hand. Okay, and obviously you've got 6 strings, so I'm not sure what the odds are as far as how many different combos you can sort of come with. But you know, the sky's the limit, quite literally. And I haven't really even got in, you know, just kind of got into doing 2 strings at once. That's like another thing for a different lesson, but you can obviously do 2 strings at once. Okay, but yeah, basically consists of playing some kind of set pattern over here with the right hand, if you're right-handed, or left-handed if you're sorry, with the left hand if you're left-handed, and obviously it's kind of is, I guess, important to a certain point to start with the root note, which is the lowest note of the chord, okay, with the same name as the chord. So in the case of a G chord, G is the root note. I'm going to start with that note there. That's a low G. You don't have to start with the root note. Obviously, it'll sound a little bit different. It'll sound a little bit more ambiguous, I guess, if you don't. But you tend to find that's the basic trend in, I guess, pop, rock / like contemporary styles. That's kind of very much the done thing. And then obviously there's some different things that you can do. So you can add in strums if you want to, add in hammer-ons, add in pull-offs. You can vary the pattern for like every other chord. You know, you can make the pattern wildly different if you wanted to as well. But the important thing anyway is if you're starting out, you definitely want to get that right hand nice and clean and crisp, and you definitely want to get chord changes nice and on the beat. Okay, so there's no hesitations, or there's no you know, there's no sort of stops and starts from one chord like to the next. Okay, so the other thing too, which we I haven't really got time to do today, but it might come in another lesson, is you can do stuff with hybrid picking, which is where you can use like your fingers. So you can pick the bottom note and then use your fingers to sound some other notes, okay, which can be like a nice technique. So yeah, so that's something for down the track maybe, but I hope that helps. Important to start slow. There's you know 101 songs out there that you could download that would use that would have examples of this in it. You know, as I did mention a few there. There was "Time Your Life" by Green Day. There's "Everybody Hurts" by REM. That's just 2 that kind of come to mind. But it's very much a one of those kind of fundamental techniques if you're playing like acoustic guitar, and it's really important to you know, just get the basics down. Start with a very easy pattern. It doesn't even have to have 8 notes per bar. It could just have 4. Important thing is to try and keep it consistent, and to try and get the notes nice and clean, and get some fingers over here to work in with what you're doing. Okay, so hopefully that makes sense. I'll have some transcriptions in the text for you, and you can have a go at it. Thanks for listening, and I'll catch you next time.